Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Mr. Rip. I know it's been a very long time since I put out a video, but we just got 7.39D, and I wanted to go over it really quick. It's mostly a pretty simple patch, mostly minor changes, but there are a few important things that I want to point out later. So let's start off right here with the terrain changes. So they increased the spawn boxes of the Triangle Ancient camps. So if you see here, the ancient boxes are significantly larger than they used to be. I think they used to extend to around here, something like that before.
Very well.
So that means two things basically. A, it's going to be harder to stack these camps or to get at least double stacks off. And B, they're going to be a lot easier to block because now there's just way more area that needs to be covered by like a de-warding sentry to get it. Like even one sentry won't grab the entire box, as you can see here. So supports might need to commit 2 sentries to de-warding it. And there's always little really annoying spots back here in the trees.
My bow is dry.
So I think stacking is going to be a lot harder. It's probably going to reduce the amount of gold you're going to get off of ancient farming in general. So if we go over here to the dire one, let's have a look at that one. This one's also significantly larger. Like again, I think it went to around like here. Something like that was like what the spawn box was before. So yeah, it's decently larger.
Yes.
I think this dire one might be easier to double stack just because there's a lot more space in between these two than there is on the Radiant one. But yeah, something to look out for.
Battle.
You can also block this one kind of on any side now. It's a lot easier to put a sentry back here in the trees and block this camp.
Good enough.
They also fixed a ward spot in the Radiant safe lane hard camp, and they removed several trees from the inside corner of the dire safe lane camp. So I'll show you that real quick. So let's go to the Radiant safe lane hard camp first. So if you remember, there used to be a sentry spot you could stick right here in the corner of the camp, and it was really annoying because you had to get over here or you had to break the trees to get vision of it, and now that's gone. And so because this has been repeatedly reduced in size, you can't block over here anymore, you can't block over here, which means this is going to be a lot easier to de-ward for the dire, which should be a buff to like dire offlane. And then if we look up here on the other one, the dire safe lane small camp. Yep, dire safe lane small camp. They've removed some of the trees back in this corner. So this used to be a really annoying spot, depending on like if you cut some of these trees, it was really hard to find the sentries. I think this bottom left corner is the same. It does look a little bit different, so maybe they removed some of these trees too, but definitely this bottom right corner is different. So now you can like sentry up in here and up in here. So there's like a couple extra spots, but I think the general goal here with these changes, both to this camp and to this camp, is to actually make it easier to de-ward. You're not going to have to like cut a tree just to find their blocking ward. So it's a buff to supports, I suppose. I guess, well, supports that want the camps. Like it's a buff to the dire safe lane support, and it's a buff to the dire offlane support. So in general, this is just kind of a big dire buff altogether, I would say, which is good because dire usually has a lower win rate than Radiant. Next most important thing, items. Blade Mail got a pretty dramatic nerf here, I would say. So it lost 3 damage, which is kind of like, yeah, whatever. But the passive return damage got dramatically nerfed. So it used to be the passive return damage was flat 20 plus 20%, which meant when you activated Blade Mail, you got 105% of the damage reflected back plus 20. So now that's going down to 10 plus 15. So it's going to be 100% plus 10 instead of 105 plus 20. It doesn't sound like that much, but when this item is kind of going off all game and helping you farm all game, and you add it up with like Chipped Vest, I think it's going to be like a pretty decent nerf to all the heroes that were buying Blade Mail all the time. So hopefully we don't see them as much anymore because they were really annoying to play against. Next up, we got Dragonlance, Hurricane Pike. It lost 10 range, not a big deal. Glimmer Cape got an extra second cooldown, not that big a deal. Halberd got 0.5 seconds on both melee and range targets. Halberd's not very good either, simply because the build-up is not that great going off of Vanguard, and also because it's like basic Dispel gets rid of it now. So maybe we'll see a little bit more Halberds, but I kind of doubt it. Maelstrom, which you didn't even see that much of to begin with, doesn't deal bonus damage to illusions anymore. Same thing with Mjolnir. Kind of weird wording here on the item description. but it's the same thing. They don't deal bonus damage to illusions. Maybe not that big of a deal. Illusion heroes have not been like super popular, and Maelstrom didn't seem like the best answer to them to begin with. At least I wasn't seeing it in my games. So, and maybe we'll see more illusions now. Who knows? Especially with the Blade Mail nerf on top of this. Like, who knows? Maybe. Mask of Madness lost 10 attack speed, whatever. Octarine Core lost 50 health and mana. Also not a big deal. Pavis getting a 40 mana buff because the cost is 40 lower. That actually does kind of matter. That's going to make it easier for supports with low mana pools to like use this item more often. So that could actually be a big deal. And then Phylactery getting 1 second cooldown reduction. It also doesn't sound like much, but that's also like a 10% increase to its damage output. Both the Phylactery and the Conda got that buff. So that's nice. Maybe we'll see more of those. Witchblade and Parasma lost 1 armor. Whatever. Not that big a deal. For neutrals, Sister Shroud got a kind of significant nerf here. So it's going from starting at 200% evasion to 150%. And the duration goes down to 5 seconds. So you won't have 8 seconds of increased evasion, which is already a really significant nerf. And then the 50% off the top will mean like you'll get down to minimum evasion a lot faster. So even though 200 and 150 are above 100%, it means that like it's going to require less attacks dodged to reduce the evasion entirely, and you have less time on the Sister Shroud overall protecting you. So pretty significant nerf. I think you're still going to pick this item though in games where Sister Shroud was good, you know, against assassins or jump heroes. Gale Guard lost 25 health, or barrier, whatever. Helm of the Undying base duration increased. That's kind of significant. Like 1 extra second, especially in the late game, can mean a really big difference. That could be like a big spell coming off cooldown, or maybe a round of spells coming off cooldown. An extra second of damage in the late game is like pretty significant sometimes. Units can no longer attack buildings while under the effect of death delay. That is a dramatic nerf to the item though. So it's going to make those like really annoying late game base defenses less annoying, but this extra second is going to be stronger in team fights. So better for team fights, worse for base racing and things like that. Psychic Headband, got 5 second cooldown buff. That's kind of nice. I don't think that's going to be super significant, but maybe this means that you'll be able to use the item multiple times in a team fight. But I think generally if you need to use Psychic Headband in the first place, usually use it once and then die anyway. So I don't know if this really matters so much. Magnifying Monocle, disable duration on taking damage increased from 3 seconds to 6 seconds. I mean, also not really relevant, I don't think, because if you're getting hit and it's getting disabled for 3 seconds, you're usually going to keep getting hit. So the 3 seconds is almost irrelevant. Like it could say 1 second and it would still mean like this is going to be turned off most of the time. But I think in some like skirmishing or in some edge cases, like against certain like hero interactions, like, yeah, it'll matter, this extra 3 seconds. Outworld Staff, self-exile mana cost increased to 65. Not relevant. This is a tier 4 item. You should have enough mana already, like, whatever. I guess it's a buff to AM. Woohoo. Enchantment changes. So Brawny gets 1 second, or let's see, 1, 2, 3 less health regen. That does add up over time, but not really super big deal. And then Mystical loses 0.2 up to 0.05 mana regen, which is oddly specific, but also not that big a deal. I mean, 20% off this, I guess, and I don't know what you want to call this. This is like 25%. Brawny got like a 25% nerf, and Mystical got about a 20% nerf. I think you'll still pick these if you need these as your enchantments. All right, next let's look at heroes. And for this one, I'm not going to read through every single thing here because honestly, it's too much. And honestly, a lot of it it's not super critical that you know all these number changes. I don't think anyway. It's obviously important if you play the hero. So, you know, if Bloodseeker is your favorite hero ever, go read this in depth, go test it out. but you're not going to need to memorize all this stuff. It won't really matter that much. So instead, what I did was I looked at everything and I decided to lump the changes into qualitative and quantitative changes. So a qualitative change, the way I'm using that word, is it means something works in a way that it didn't used to, or it doesn't work in a way that it did used to. Quantitative change means numbers. It just does more damage or has lower cooldown or has higher range or whatever, that type of thing. These are numbers changes. These are mechanical changes. The quantitative changes from there, I split them into 3. So the significant number changes are up here. The major ones, I think Axe and Nature's Prophet got kind of significant nerfs. These are kind of average nerfs right here. And these are ones that almost like don't even matter. For instance, Silencer got -1 strength at level 1. Like that doesn't matter at all. I don't think that's not going to significantly affect the win rate of the hero. I think these heroes will see pretty big win rate changes. These ones may be like a couple percentage points, and these guys down here maybe like 1 or 2 percentage points, maybe, if that. So let's go into the qualitative ones first. So for Willow, so allies can no longer target Dark Willow while active. Dark Willow can still target herself. So what does that mean? It means you can't save the Dark Willow or move her around if you're on her team while she's in Shadow Realms. So that could be you can't Glimmer her, you can't Solar her, you can't hit her with Shallow Grave. Snapfire can't Cookie her, that type of thing, right? I guess Tusk can't Snowball her either. So she's going to be harder to save. She can still save herself though, right? So you can still use Yules and Force Staff. The next one is Undying. So his big change is to the Rotting Mitts facet. Zombies summoned by the facet effect now die when Undying dies. So if you didn't know, this is when he ultimates and then he punches you, he spawns a zombie. Now if you kill Undying, all the zombies that are spawned from that die as well. So he'll still have the zombies from the Tombstone, but not from the ones that he spawned off of his Rotting Mitts. And then, as I said, these are all the quantitative changes. So let's look at the major ones. So for Axe, pretty significant here. The Culling, he gets a mana increase on Berserker's Call. This is minor, 10 mana, whatever. But Culling Blade, kill armor bonus decreased from 20, 25, 30 to 10, 15, 20. That's 10 armor at all levels. That's a plate mail. Every single time Axe gets a kill, that's like 1 less, or gets a kill with Culling Blade. That is 1 less plate mail for him. Whole 10 armor. I think that sounds like a pretty big deal. I don't know if you're an Axe expert, maybe he's not actually getting most of his kills from Culling Blade, because I think he gets armor regardless when he kills people, but this gave a significant bonus. 10 armor sounds like a lot to me. And then the next one is Nature's Prophet.
Nature's Guardian.
So he got an agi gain decrease, 0.2. What's whatever. Soothing Saplings though. So the heal per second decreased from 14, 26, 38, 50 down to 10, 15, 20, 25. Doesn't sound that big a deal, but that does mean at level 4 it is half the heal per second. It's going from 50 to 25. And Nature's Prophet players were not even taking Nature's Call. So this is one of the spells they were maxing, both for the damage and the heal. And the damage got nerfed on it as well. So it's going to do half as much healing at later levels, and it's going to do a little bit less damage as well. Level 1 damage is unchanged, but at level 4 we're going from 265 down to 250 damage. Not the biggest deal in the world, but I do think the heal is going to add up over time. On the flip side though, Nature's Prophet is a hero that can always just go back to base to heal, so maybe this doesn't really matter that much. And then let's look at some of the average numbers changes next. So Dawnbreaker, she got hit on her cooldown reduction. So Luminosity got a 20% nerf, and then she got a 25% nerf on the talent. I think that'll add up. That's less Solar Guardians coming down throughout the course of the game. Dazzle, 20% nerf on Weave. I wouldn't think this would be a giant deal, except that Dazzle's cooldown manipulation in general has been nerfed dramatically. So I do think this is going to add up, and you're going to have Weave being applied for less time on both allies and enemies throughout the game. And then the mana cost on Shadow Wave went up. That's not a giant deal for supports, but it might be a big deal for cores because supports usually buy lots of mana items anyway. 15 mana doesn't matter that much. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. I don't think it's a super significant change, but it's something. Earth Spirit got a lot of damage increases at level 1, so his minimum went up by 6. So his damage spread is going to be a lot lower. That's a big buff to, well, all Earth Spirits, but specifically core Earth Spirits when they're contesting last hits. Monkey King. So he got a 20% nerf on Primal Spring's max power, but I think this one is pretty significant. The changing of the guard, the initial cooldown goes from 0.5 to 1 second. If you're using this defensively to try and save yourself, that 0.5 seconds could actually matter a lot, where you can't, you know, switch into your guards for a whole second instead of half a second. So I think this could end up, you know, like getting you killed a lot more. Not dramatic, but it's there. For Naga Siren here, she's losing almost an entire second on the Deluge slow. And this is Deluge, it's not Deluge. It's Deluge, like a deluge of water. So this spell, you know, whenever her or her images hit units with a damaging wave of water, that caps their max movement speed. So you're going to have max movement speed for 2.6 instead of 3.5. That is almost a whole second nerf off of that slow, and it is a slow, level 1. So I think that's pretty significant. That's really going to reduce her impact in the lane phase. And then the radius on Song of the Siren, it's whatever. It's not a huge deal. 100 units on a spell that's already massive range, I think is not that big a deal. TA also got damage changes a little bit like Earth Spirit, except it's hitting her minimum and her maximum. And for a hero whose damage is almost entirely based on just right clicks, I think that is going to add up, especially one that really, really cares about early last hits and momentum. She gets a level 25 meld bash duration nerf of 20%, but this is level 25. It doesn't really matter that much, I don't think. All of these talent changes, I don't think are a massive deal, especially if they're late game talents, because most of the time you won't even get to that point. But these early game changes are pretty significant. And then for Tinker, this one was weird, and I had to think about it. Keen Conveyance cooldown went from 80 seconds to 50 seconds, and you might think, well, why does that matter on a hero that can reset his cooldowns? Well, before level 6, he can't do that, right? So this is a 30-second buff to being able to teleport around. It's obviously going to help support Tinker make rotations more often. But as soon as you hit level 6, this change is like basically irrelevant. So it's a weird one, but this is a buff to Tinker support, at least. And then for Ursa,
I defend what is mine.
his Ag Shard and range duration decreased by 0.1 seconds. That doesn't sound dramatic to me, but the health as damage rescaled from 1.2 to 1.25 or 1.5 to 1.25. I think that will, in some cases, make a big difference because this is percentage based. It's really dependent on how much health Ursa actually has, right? So if he has 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 extra health or whatever, that's even possible. That's going to add up to a lot more damage. You can do the math on it yourself, but anything percentage based is always going to be a big deal. And one I actually should have put in here as well. Oh no, I put it in the minor one. Is the Shadow Shaman one. I didn't know whether to put this in qualitative or not, but I decided to just stick it in quantitative. So Mass Serpent Wards basically increase base attack time by 0.1. So not great. You want your BAT to be low, so they're going to lose some attack speed. And then wards no longer deal 50% extra damage against Roshan. So that's 50% extra damage regardless of what type of Mass Serpent Wards it is, or what level it is, or how many they are. So for that reason, I kind of wanted to put it in qualitative, but it is just a numbers change. It's going to be a lot harder for Shadow Shaman to take Roche now, either by like soloing it or helping his team or stealing it or whatever. So I think that is kind of a significant nerf. But Mass Serpent Wards did do, and the big Snake Ward, the solo ward, did do a lot of damage, so I think a nerf was warranted. The rest of these are all minor changes. I'd advise you to just look at them yourself. Even the Quap change, which is a hero you'd expect to see pretty big changes on. I think they're relying on the Blade Mail nerf to cover her for the most part. So all they did is they changed the innate Range for max lifesteal decreased from 300 to 150. So if we read this ability here, it was 300 to 800 units, and then a scaling lifesteal of 2 to 14%, right? So now it's 150 to 800. So does 150 units make that big a difference? I don't really think so. I mean, that's going to be like maybe 1 or 2% lifesteal, which is just like kind of whatever. That doesn't sound like a huge deal to me. Obviously, it's going to affect all of her spells like throughout a whole team fight. But for a hero that already relies on mobility and can slow you, like, and can blink on top of you, like, this is something that QoP players can play around, right? So instead of blinking 300 units next to you, they can blink 150 units next to you. Obviously, that's going to be different based on the hero interaction. Some heroes you don't want to be that close. But I think because it's only going to be like a couple percentage points of lifesteal, I don't think it's that big a deal. Like these nerfs, this nerf really doesn't seem like it's dramatic enough for this hero, which is why I think they're sort of relying on the blade mail nerf to kind of carry that. And hopefully we'll see a lot less QoP running around with blade mail all the time, because that shit is super annoying. The rest of these, though, I don't think they're that big a deal. But if you think I'm wrong, I'm definitely wrong about some of these. Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any questions about anything I said here, please put it in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion. And also, another update since it's been a while. I've started putting Battle Cup and League games on my Patreon. My Patreon is free to join. You can go over there and look at them. I don't list the videos on YouTube publicly just because I can't be bothered to edit them and put in a thumbnail and all that stuff. You know, editing like a 2-hour video is really annoying, right? So they're just up there mainly so you guys can kind of see, and me as well, so I can review them. You can look at like comms and drafting, and if you have any interest in that kind of stuff, I think it could be helpful. It could be interesting to watch. And they're up for free on my Patreon, so just go sign up over there and you can see them. And also, I'm looking for more coaching students. It's been a while. My main students have all kind of basically stopped playing the game at this point for personal life reasons or whatever. And so if you're interested in getting coached by me, let me know. You can put it in the comments. You can message me on Discord. You can check me out on Twitch and message me there, and we can work something out. I have coaching on my Patreon, like as a paid thing, which is basically, I think, $20 an hour. But because I'm not coaching anybody right now, I am looking for more students that I would just coach for free, probably like once a week, something like that. So let me know if you're interested in that, and I'd love to teach you. Something else I forgot to mention, we have Quartero's Curios, which is just a way to get cosmetics for free. The way this is going to work is you're going to get pieces of each set. See the poppet, the mask, the belt, backplate, the basket, the staff, based on your level with Quartero's Curios, the shop thing. And you're going to level up by getting XP for winning and losing games. You're going to get less XP for winning and losing turbo, but basically it means at level 1, I don't know if this scales or not yet, because obviously I haven't played any games yet. But basically it just means like if I win a normal game and then win a turbo game, I'll get into level 2, and then I'll be able to get the next cosmetic in this progression, which is pretty cool. You know, nice little cosmetics. Who doesn't like free stuff, right? And these skins do look pretty cool just from what I can see here. Let's try unlocking the first one that we get for free.
Ah, a hero! Welcome to Quartero's Curios.
Cool, there you go. Ah, see, now we can see what the skins look like. So this is a pretty sweet Witch Doctor skin, and a super awesome Legion Commander skin. I like this one a lot. It's got like a big Roman / like, actually Greek, maybe like a Greek. Kind of both, actually. The laurels look Roman to me, but the helmet kind of looks like a hoplite helmet. So whatever, ancient then. That's cool. And then got a Venge skin too. I really like the colors on this, very vibrant. That's awesome. I can't wait to see what other skins they add to this. Looks like we also have event effects down here. All these kind of things that you'd normally get from a compendium, like teleport effects and things like that. That's pretty cool. And then antiques. With these antiques, you'll get previously released sets, including Immortal and Arcana sets, possibly. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of progression to do here. There's a lot of stuff to work up to. And also, the Legion Commander skin has 2 tiers to it, which is pretty neat. So there's the tier 1, and there's the tier 2. Kind of looks like a Crimson Witness skin, actually. It's pretty sweet. So there you go. Pretty neat. Thanks, Valve. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in another video.